Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. That's still my email. It is still in the description below. It remains your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a model launched in early 2018 in platinum. This is the FP Journe Chronographe Monopoussoir Rattrapante, a timepiece, 44 millimeters in diameter, but relatively reasonable and only 12.2 millimeters thick. It fits smaller than its rated size. To rate the size, we generally don't talk about diameter, we talk about lug-to-lug. And if we just talk about the case lugs, then it is 52 millimeters across the wrist. And if you include the outermost rigid outcropping of the bracelet, see how I can't compress the links anymore, total distance across the wrist is 53.4, all of which is to say for a 44, being fairly slim and curved at the edge of the case, actually works quite nicely. I could wear this watch comfortably on my wrist of 16 centimeters circumference. You can see how the edge of the case and the bend of the bracelet helps it to wrap around a borderline wrist like mine, and it is quite flat. It'll easily slide underneath the cuff with a sterling silver dial, a solid gold movement, platinum case, bracelet, and clasp. It has an incredible feeling of substance. It feels as expensive as it is, maybe even more so. Now, taking a quick look over the top that exaggerates the width of the watch, you can see even there, it's not totally out over the edge of my wrist, and the down the barrel is definitive in that regard. Now, this was the end of the line for the rubber bumpers on FP Journe watches. From the very beginning of the Linesport series, with the aluminums back in 2011, there were rubber bumpers on the case as well as the bracelets. And the idea was to improve the durability of the bracelet over time by providing a rubber buffer. And sometime around the fall of 2019, those rubber bumpers went away. So remember that this watch, this model, the blue mauve dial in platinum, wasn't launched until the beginning of 2018, and by the fall, certainly late fall of 2019, the rubber bumpers were already gone. So if you're looking for something that had a relatively short series and a low take rate, the platinum mono pusher with the rubber bumpers is definitely right up your alley there. The timepiece, of course, beautifully made inside and out. We may as well start from the inside and work our way out. So on the dial, we have matte white gold hands, matte white gold applique numerals. We have a frame of 2 sterling silver concentric pattern subregisters, one for chronograph minutes, one for running seconds, each with its own little integral railroad track scale outboard. Moving out from that, we have a dial in blue mauve with the pyramide or pyramid hobnail at center, and the dial is made of sterling silver. It's a blue mauve color, but the material itself, it's almost like a very large silver dollar. Outboard, we have a track for reading chronograph seconds, fractions of seconds, as well as minutes, and then there is a double-digit date down at the base of the dial. We'll see. Just make sure we roll through midnight if we're in the date change danger zone, which we were. Date change danger zone just means you don't want to set a date using a quick set, generally between 8 p.m. and 4 a.m. So we're out of the woods now, and you can see how the mechanism works, and that a wonderfully serify font is used, but that font matches the numerals on the dial. That 5 is that 5, is that 5, is that 5, is that 5. So the continuity is outstanding there. So you have a quick set for the date, though the watch doesn't have hacking. That's just about the only feature it lacks. Now, it looks like it may be a conventional chronograph. It's actually what's called a monopusher split-second chronograph. So what appears to be the reset trigger is actually the split trigger for the seconds hand, so you can gauge the waxing or waning gap between two objects, such as runners around a racetrack or race cars around a course, and that's the idea. But because it is a mono pusher, just like all mono pushers, when you stop it, you must reset it. You cannot resume from the stop point. Works like that. Column wheel feel here is excellent, and I should say it's twice as nice because this watch has 2 column wheels. More on that in just a moment. The track for the tachymeter, which can be used to gauge the speed of an object, such as a race car around a track or along a kilometer. That track's actually made of black ceramic, one of the few times you'll see scratch-resistant ceramic on a Journe watch. And you can see externally the bezel is well polished with the bezel gasket expressed very minutely, almost like on a Royal Oak. It doesn't dominate the way the gasket dominates the look of an offshore, but it definitely gives this watch a little bit of a utilitarian air, certainly more so than the pure dress watches, but make no mistake, it has a pedigree. It is quite fine. We've got the rubber bumpers in profile, rubber around the knurled double dimple Journe-style crown, this wonderful, almost tremblage-like texture across the case and the bracelet. And you can see we have a polished bevel that runs all the way around the case, quite beautiful. The bracelet is robust, and because it has calculated gaps between the links, especially from the underside, it's not going to pinch skin, pull hair, or trap wrist heat. Removable links are fixed using screws, so if you have a jeweler's screwdriver, you can easily size this watch at home. There's actually a micro adjustment built into the clasp, so you can fine-tune the fit using this micro adjust. And you'll note the use of spring-loaded ceramic pin snaps inside the clasp and the micro adjust, the idea being that over time the metal cannot aggress against the ceramic balls, so the tolerances will remain snappy and factory-like. It is a double folding deployant clasp, and you can see externally F.P. Journe, he invented and made it in Latin. That's what that means. Rolling around to the case back now, you can see that the movement is huge. 44mm case, 33.6mm diameter movement. This is caliber 1518. We'll take a quick look at its splendor. Now, the parts of the chronograph in silver, those are steel. Just about everything else that looks like rose gold is, in fact, 18-karat rose gold. 29 jewel movement, manual wind, 3 Hz beat rate, free sprung, and it has an 80-hour manual wind power reserve. It is a column wheel chronograph, and you can see the column wheels in action here. There's one for the primary clutch, which uses an oscillating pinion, and then there is another one for the chronograph split. You can see that column wheel is just below my finger right there. So 2 column wheels to actuate the 2 different chronograph seconds hands, and it's quite nicely decorated. You can see Journe finishing has come a long way. It's not at the level of a Laurent Ferrier or Fabrique du Temps or something like Romain Gaultier, but it's definitely quite good to the point that the bevels are now mirrored. They no longer look cheaply milled. They're quite nicely finished, and you can see these little silver polished peg heads. Those are the locating pegs that help to locate the bridges on the base plate, and you can see their heads have been polished. We have circular Côte de Genève across the bridges, satination on the steel parts, and they also have beveling on their sides. There is, of course, beveling on the rose gold parts as well. Engine-turned perlage on the base plate. All screw heads have black polished tops, and the watch is 30 meters water resistant. So while a sports watch, it's not necessarily an aquatic sports watch. You may ask, what was that oscillating pinion business I mentioned before? Well, the primary clutch here has an oscillating pinion, which is a type of lateral clutch that preserves the traditional beauty of a lateral clutch, but also gives you the fine operation and the generally seamless engagement of a vertical clutch. So when you press and hold to start a oscillating pinion, see how there's no real jump? That's because the oscillating pinion has less inherent play than a conventional lateral clutch, which is why high-end brands such as F.P. Journe and De Bethune and Richard Mille are revisiting the oscillating pinion clutch type today. If you love this watch, reach out to me. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.